Today, we are diving into Neil Pasricha's incredible framework for building resilience. And let me tell you, this whole thing was born out of a time of just immense personal and global chaos. It's really a guide for getting through life's absolute toughest moments, and it all boils down to one simple question.
This is the big one, right? When it feels like everything is falling apart, not just on the news, but in your own life. Where do you even start to find the strength to keep going?
So to really get the power of his solution, we first have to understand the problem. And for Neil, the whole story starts with a life that, from the outside looking in, seemed pretty much perfect.
I mean, you know the story. His parents came to Canada, worked hard, and built this really stable, happy life. And Neil was right on that same track. Great education, good job, he gets married, he's taking these awesome road trips with his buddies. The path forward seemed crystal clear.
And yeah, as he put it himself, things were just good. There was this real sense of stability, of contentment, and a future that just looked bright and wide open. But as we all know, life has a funny way of throwing you a curveball when you least expect it.
In this is where the story takes a hard left turn. That picture-perfect life starts to crack, getting hit by storms from both the outside world and, devastatingly, from within.
You have to remember what 2008 and 2009 felt like. It was just heavy. Every single time you turn on the news, it was a constant barrage of anxiety. Ice caps melting, wars, natural disasters, and of course, a global economy that was just in free fall. There was this feeling that the world itself was on incredibly shaky ground.
And while all of this was playing out on the world stage, Neil was facing his own personal earthquake. The chaos outside was being mirrored by this internal chaos that was somehow even more shattering.
And then came the first blow. Just gut-wrenching, honest words from his wife that ended his marriage. He said it was one of the most heartbreaking things he'd ever heard.
And then, somehow, it got worse. Just 1 month after that, he lost his best friend, Chris, to suicide. So think about that. Within a handful of weeks, the two absolute pillars of his life, his marriage and his best friendship, were just gone. The darkness felt completely all-consuming.
So what do you do when you're there, at rock bottom? You can either let that darkness swallow you whole, or you can make a choice to start looking for even the tiniest glimmer of light. And this is where Neil decided he had to find a way forward.
He didn't have some grand, life-altering plan. It was just one small, simple step. He decided to start a little blog, basically to force himself to remember that some good was still left in the world no matter how tiny. It was his small act of defiance against all that despair.
And what were these awesome things? Well, we're not talking about solving world hunger here. He focused on the tiny, universal joys we all get. Free refills, warm laundry, these simple things became his anchor. It was his way of fighting back against that overwhelming wave of negativity.
And what's amazing is what started as this deeply personal coping mechanism, it resonated with, well, pretty much everyone. The blog just exploded, going from his parents as his only readers to millions of followers. And it eventually won the Best Blog in the World award. He'd clearly tapped into a fundamental human need.
Okay, so this is the real takeaway. Looking back on that whole journey, he realized he had developed a framework for growing himself. He distilled it down to 3 core principles. And these aren't just nice ideas. They are the specific antidotes to the hopelessness that he was facing, and that we all face from time to time.
The first antidote is attitude. Now, this is the absolute core of resilience. And let's be clear, this isn't about pretending the pain isn't there. It's about feeling that pain, the loss of a marriage, the loss of a friend, and then making a conscious choice not to let it define your entire future.
This is the fork in the road he was standing at after his world just unraveled. He could have chosen option 1 and just stayed in that gloom forever, and who could blame him? But a great attitude meant choosing option 2. To grieve, yes, but then to stand up and start taking those first tiny baby steps forward.
The second A is awareness. And this is the perfect weapon against that constant, overwhelming drone of bad news we were talking about. When the big picture feels totally hopeless, you zoom in, you find the small picture. You literally teach yourself to see the world with fresh eyes again.
And this is how you actually do it. The blog was basically one massive exercise in awareness. By actively looking for these tiny moments, the smell of a bakery, finding a forgotten 20 in your pocket, hitting a string of green lights, he was retraining his brain to see the good that was always there, all around him, every single day.
And the final antidote is authenticity.
So after his marriage ended and his best friend was gone, Neil's life plan was completely shattered. That can make you feel so lost. Authenticity is the cure for that feeling. It's about reconnecting with who you really are, your passions, your quirks, your heart, and letting that guide you when the old path is just gone.
And if you want a perfect picture of what this looks like, you got to hear about Rosie Greer. This guy was a 6'5", 300-pound NFL linebacker. I mean, one of the toughest players of his time. And his other passion? Needlepoint.
And why did he do it? Because it was true to him. It calmed him down, it brought him joy. And hey, it even helped him meet people. Being authentic isn't about fitting into some box. It's about finding what makes you feel fulfilled and just being totally unapologetically cool with it.
So there you have it. Attitude, awareness, and authenticity. Together, they are like a roadmap, not just for surviving the tough times, but for actively building a life that feels deeply satisfying and, yeah, truly awesome.
And this, right here, this is a bit of a wake-up call. Life is short. It's fleeting. We only get so much time to experience all the little awesome things that make it so sweet. The time to start living with a great attitude, with more awareness, and with authenticity is right now.
So I want to leave you with a little challenge. Forget about all the big problems for just a minute. What is one tiny, awesome thing you can actively notice today? Because sometimes the first step toward an awesome life is a lot smaller than you think. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and help us build the hype. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.